Let's see. We're live?
We're live. Greetings, world. Welcome to That Pedal Show VCQ. Viewers, comments and questions. Coming live to you from Shangri-La, home of That Pedal Show.
Indeed.
Are we on? Should we have a roll call?
It's happening. Oh, here we go. Right, yes. Okay. Everyone, you know the drill. Roll call. Where is everyone tuning in from? Let's see. Steve Richardson from rainy Oxford. Oh, it's lovely here. Hello from Scotland. I love Scotland.
I think it's going to start raining, isn't it?
We've got Regina from Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan. So Jordan.
Saskatoon.
One?
I believe is how you say that.
Kildare Island. I went fly fishing in Ireland.
Did you?
And had one of the best weekends of my life. And I was in this beautiful stream. The fish jumping everywhere. I was being buttered by sheep. The rolling hills. I didn't catch a thing all weekend. One of the best weekends of my life.
Right.
Just awesome. I love Ireland.
Scotland?
And Scotland. But that was, the fly fishing was in Ireland.
Oh, I see.
It was Londonderry, around there somewhere. And we stayed in a hotel that was apparently visited by a very famous highwayman.
Dick Turpin.
Dick Turpin.
I was about to say I knew his brother.
Shout out to BV, looking after us again. Thank you, BV. You absolute legend.
Thank you, BV. And we should also say, I haven't got my phone with me, so I can't access the message. We're going to be doing Tone Talk next Sunday.
Oh, we are too.
Yeah, this coming Sunday, in fact, given that it's Monday today. So this coming Sunday with Dave Friedman and Mark on the Tone Talk platform. And that's going to be at 6 p.m. BST, British Summertime.
Awesome.
Catherine's on her way in, probably going to tell us something. Oh, thanks.
The phone. As if
Amazing.
by magic.
Amazing. Let me
Mason Patton. Wow, finally caught you guys live. Thank you, Mason. Really glad you're here. Right, hi from Salt Lake City, Utah, CDA, Idaho, Leicester, Central USA.
Get this. The last Tone Talk was Bob Rock.
What?
Hosted by Pete Thorne. So I think it's going to be a bit of a come down this Sunday. But in any case, they were kind enough to promo for Dan and I. So it's the 19th of July, 6 p.m. UK time. Yes, Tone Talk, which should be good fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, Tone Talk YouTube channel. The Tone Talk YouTube channel, yes. And I do believe our jolly good friend BV moderates there as well.
Oh, awesome.
Cool. I'm totally going to watch that Bob Rock one. I bet that's super interesting.
Yeah, he's amazing. Right, we've got Santiago. We've got Cesar in Santiago, Chile. Santiago from Buenos Aires. Tom from Ohio, USA. Embryo from Istanbul in Turkey. We've got Andrew from Swansea. Miko from the Philippines. Alan from Newbury.
Apparently Leo's on.
Who?
Leo, Frog Leap Leo.
Is he on?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Hope you're doing well, mate.
Hope you're awesome. Yeah,
cool.
some of the clips that with Rabia and Leo doing their thing, man, those gigs look like just too much fun.
Really great fun.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's get into it then. Marty Boo. Hello, Marty Boo. Have you seen Rhett Schill live streaming? What a Fuzz. Best from Barcelona. I haven't watched Rhett's live streaming, but he makes really brilliant videos.
Yep.
And makes good stuff, so I'm sure it was awesome. August Lamzik, hello from Illinois. Mika Johansson, North Sweden here. Did you like my Mika? Did you like that? Bear BV has put Tone Talk link in the comments section if you want to find it. Adrian Miller, murky and cold old Siney, I think he's saying there, but it might be Sydney at 2:08 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's my brother's birthday today, who lives near Melbourne in Australia.
Right.
Happy birthday, Darren. You won't be watching this, but anyway.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Do you know Dan's got a brother called Darren as well?
I've never put those two together.
Isn't that interesting? We both have brothers called Darren.
I've never put those together.
They both live in Australia.
There's something wrong with me.
Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
Miko Fernandez, happy birthday to you. He says, this is the best way to start my birthday, learning more about tones. Thanks, guys. Excellent. Nice to have you along, Miko, and happy birthday.
Yeah,
Many
mate. Happy
returns.
birthday.
Yeah. John A, what are the topics today? I.e., hurry up, guys. What are you blooming talking about? Well, the general idea for VCQ is that we talk about whatever happened on the previous Friday's video. However, they tend to veer off that subject fairly quickly because we just answer whatever questions come in. So Friday's video, if you haven't watched it, peculiarly low views. We were surprised by that, Daniel. It was about multi-head tape delays. So we did a show previously on single head tape delays, sort of descended from the Echoplex world and talked about pedals. And Dan built this amazing Frankenstein pedal board which showed you what's happening in a single head tape delay. And we repeated that, we repeated that, we repeated that, we repeated that for multi-head tape delays.
Very good.
I can't, unfortunately, I can't self-oscillate. And Dan also made, like, it's just, if you haven't watched it, please watch it. You get all the bits that happen in a tape delay. So the preamp, the compander or compression from the tape, blah, 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 blah. The two tape delay lines, how it all mixes back in, the reverb on the end and the modulation and the filtering. And he made it all on a pedal board, and you have to watch it because it's fascinating.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't tell anyone, but it sounded the best of the lot.
Yes. We've been talking, but we've got plans to do an absolute monster one.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Go all the way. I think somebody called Timothy, and my screen just went, said it's my birthday too. Tony Williams. Tony, happy birthday to you.
mate.
Yeah. Reeves Electro's on. Marcus is on. Evening
Hey!
chaps. Hey, Marcus. Anyone who doesn't know, Marcus makes amazing point-to-point hand-wired pedals in the UK, and there's 2 outings for his pedals coming up soon on that pedal show. One of which might even be this Friday. I can't remember. But
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Clive McDade said, more crackly audio. Did you change the batteries? We did. So we've obviously got a problem between the Apollo and the interface and this thing.
it's all good.
Fraser
It's all
can't
good
hear
here.
it. So it's that thing. Is that getting a signal that's too hot, Fraser, do you think?
It's fine.
It's fine, because it's not even going red. So it's something between there and the Apollo. Can we just check it's plugged in the back of the Apollo correctly? So annoying. It might be to do with YouTube's live upload rate. We are
Yes.
on the TP link, I think.
Yep, we are indeed.
Yeah. Oh well. Sorry guys for the crackly audio. It seems to be a problem in live stream which we don't seem to be able to solve. So
Let's see. Eric Filsinger says, is that a new Tone King? Yes, it is. Which we've been using the last couple of videos and sounds absolutely mega.
It's an Imperial Mark II. I've played this amp before and always really liked it. We got it in here, plugged it in and went, oh my God. It sounds really killer. It sounds amazing. In fact, we used it with the Supro for a video that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time. The Supro Black Magic. And it's just sounded epically good.
Oh, unreal.
So, yeah, happy days. Right. Ollie Clam. What could be causing microphonic squeaking from my single coil guitars at the same Bournemouth venue?
Oh, interesting.
Humbucker fixes it, but it's just not my sound. Try different plug sockets and stage areas. Yeah, you're trying the right things, basically.
Yep. There's an amazing little product out now. It's basically a voltage regulator. And I know that Andertons have them in stock. So depending on where the venue is placed and stuff, the voltage ranges can range quite a lot from venue to venue. And what this thing does is just gives you a constant voltage the whole time. So you set it to where your amp sounds the best, and no matter where you go, plug that in, and your gear will receive that voltage. I cannot remember the name of the thing. I'm sure someone's going to tell us in a minute. But that's a really great solve for a lot of those problems. Because what happens is, you've got to remember, if you've got like the way that your amp is biased, especially cathode biased amplifiers, depending on the input voltage, it'll change the way that the bias works, and it can move 5% plus or minus, that's quite a lot, in terms of getting the bias of the amp right. Another thing is depending on phone signals and that sort of stuff. But more often than not, it's just dirty power, in the venue.
That's why changing the power is a good shout. So
Yeah.
Thor Oliverson says you've got to check out Rhett Shaw's live show. He played live with his band. He also did a video where he shows how the production recording, which is really boring. But there you go.
Very good. Okay, we've got some. Oh, here we go. First super chat, Ben Keane. He says first post lockdown pub garden gig last Saturday.
Yay!
So glad to hear it. Mark Levenish asks, wireless systems, tone killers, tired of tripping on wires at home, still inspired by you two, getting better every week. We have been actually looking at doing a show on wirelesses because it's a really interesting thing.
Every time we go, we should do a show on wirelesses, and then about 2 minutes later we go, they're, yeah, just fraught with problems from top to bottom. So we're trying to find a way to explain that without just going, throw it in the bin and use a cable.
Yeah.
We need to be a little bit more constructive than that.
Yeah.
The video keeps dropping out.
What are we doing?
The video's buffering.
Okay, I think it's buffering because we're both streaming at the same time. It's probably because we're both streaming it back down and trying to stream up.
Okay. Continue talking. Let me just double check the settings on here.
Sorry about this, folks. We've got. I can pause the.
Oh, there we go.
I can pause the video, can't I? I don't have to watch the video, but
that's a good idea.
The chat still comes in.
Does it? Let's see.
Let's try that.
Let's try. Someone say something.
Yeah. Interestingly. Anyway, no, I won't go into that.
Okay. Yep. Comments are still going. All right.
I was going to talk a bit about media theory about the internet was supposed to be the great democratizer.
Okay. Oh, that's so interesting.
It's had the opposite effect.
It has exact opposite effect.
Yeah,
wow.
especially for anyone who lives in a rural area, it's basically made you an outcast, a technological outcast.
Right.
Anyway,
Daniel Webb.
Adrian Miller says crackliness is probably bitrate starvation.
I am quite hungry.
Yes, me too.
See how we go. Daniel Webb says it was my birthday on Saturday. Happy birthday, mate. Enjoyed watching Friday's shows with a Bloody Mary. Oh. It's my flight drink. The only time I ever drank a Bloody Mary, I got on the plane, and it just.
Oh, I thought you said fight drink.
No, well,
Yeah.
Haven't done one of those in the flight yet. But there we go.
I always have them with breakfast, for a flight.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because obviously if you're going through time zones, you can drink 24 hours. It's fine. So I find the Bloody Mary is the best breakfast drink there is.
Right. He says, I got an OC3 to add to the board, so I've been enjoying that. I now have 10 pedals in my signal chain. Time for a G2?
Yes.
Yes, of course it is.
Yeah. Cosmic KJ says Furman power conditioner. Yeah. They were all the rage not so long ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is a different one. This is
like 30 years ago. Matt always uses one, I think, in the States.
Yeah, it's a little, I think guys that did from, was it Brown Box? They've got this small, it's a small thing. If you go on Danish Pete's Instagram, he's got a picture of it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like that. But
should we reinstate the horn, Dan? We've been hornless for a minute.
We have.
So let's honk Danish Pete. And who else have we mentioned? Rhett Shull. Oh no, don't know Rhett Shull.
Can't honk him.
So Pete Thorne. And anyone else we've missed so far.
Okay, David Tompkins says, important question about pedal order. When displaying on the shelf, should they be in effect type, manufacturer, or color order? It's a really good question. So some of the shelves have a bit more space where the larger pedals go, but even some of them are still too large. I'd like the gold corner at the top right-hand side. Yeah.
It's a multi approach, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
But it was by manufacturer for a long time. But I've moved now to by type, so I've got all my favourite fuzzes sort of there in the middle. And
okay.
My favourite overdrives are all down the end now. But then there's Thorpe, so there's no real system.
No.
There's no real system. Julian Doe says the crackling looks like a CPU overload. Well, if it is, it's from an iPhone. Because we don't use any computer in this, apart from sending the audio out from the UA device to this IK multimedia device. The problem is between the UA and the IK multimedia and the streaming. So boring.
Andy Sandel says, I have finally accepted I love owning Les Pauls much more than playing them. Wow. No matter how hard I try. Any piece of kit you accept is excellent for most people. Any piece of kit you accept is excellent for most people, but you just never got on with. That's a really interesting question.
Yeah, Les Pauls for me, Andy. I'm with you. Yeah.
Well, it took me a long... See, okay, it took me a long time to find the right Les Paul, and now I've got that one. I adore it. But it's for a specific thing. Like the Strat or, like Telly for me, I can play anything on that guitar. I did for years, did gigs with just that guitar. But I find the Les Paul's a more specific thing. And also because I really love chime and top end, finding a Les Paul that had that was really difficult.
Pretty much any digital pedal whatsoever for me. Particularly anything that doesn't have analog drive-through. And, millions of those sell up and down the nation in their bucket loads, and most of the world finds them completely okay. I don't. And indeed, any digital multi-effects.
Right. Yeah, I know. I'm with
really
you on
good
that.
things.
But
Most overdriving amps.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, unless it's one really specific thing that you need. And again, the whole of music history was built on overdriving amps. So, yeah, it's not uncommon, Andy, I don't think.
David Rustad, this is a good question. He says, how do you guys who play all the new pedals in the world all the time get intimate with them? Trying to be mindful of how well I know my gear, and I've picked up a spate of new stuff recently. For me, it's quite simple. I will either connect with it really quickly or I won't. And if I won't, then sitting down with it and trying to find a sound that I connect with in it can be challenging. But if there is a sound in there that I connect with, it'll happen quite quickly. We did a show recorded last week, and we're talking about programmable overdrives, and there were some good sounds that sounded great. The minute the Mark II automaton, the Mark II preamp Chase Bliss automaton turned on, we both were like, right,
that's it.
there it is. There wasn't a sound in there that we played with. It was like that it all had a certain quality about it. So yeah, it's definitely for me. It happens really quickly.
Fraser did the audio for that today. What did you think?
I thought it all sounded really good.
Did you think the Chase Bliss sounded noticeably better or worse than anything else?
Sure you did them.
Okay, so you didn't know. Fine. That's one thing I was quite interested in, because in the room it was palpable.
Yeah.
Like the fidelity and the size of it and the feel of it was palpably better than the other stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess by the time it's recorded, that a lot of that gets lost.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Could be a good show, that one. Anyway, David, I agree with Dan. And it's one of the reasons I don't go for multifunction stuff, because it's not that I can't. I'm going to say I just can't deal with it. Of course I can deal with it. You can learn and you can spend time, but I don't want to deal with it. I just want to go on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Go.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing with the really, look at I remember the first time we turned on the waterfall, the jam waterfall, and it was instant, and that's the sort of experience that we have. But it's a really personal thing, because there'll be, there'll be things that I connect with that Mick doesn't, and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you just got to be open to that, and also being honest. It's like, I had 2 clones and sold them both, because played it, didn't like it. Everyone was hyping about it. I thought, okay, well, I must have missed something. Grabbed it, plugged it in.
Yeah,
Just wasn't for me.
It's a it's something I wish I could say to the whole of the online guitar community, is just because one doesn't like this, it's not a criticism of somebody else liking
It doesn't invalidate.
I mean, this is really old school internet speak, but if I say, for example, I really don't like product X, that doesn't mean that the next person doesn't love it.
Sure.
And is completely justified in loving it.
That's really important.
And I don't know, we seem to have lost that somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, BV laughingly says, Dan and Mick, your episode of Tone Talk sandwiches you between Bob Rock and Steve Lukather.
Perfect.
I can just imagine Dave Friedman now going, why am I talking to these jokers? I've got Bob Rock last week and Steve Lukather next week. Well, we're very honoured to be on there, actually, and I think it'll be a super interesting conversation.
Yeah. I've talked to Dave Friedman quite a lot. He's a fascinating, hugely knowledgeable guy.
Yeah.
So
should be
looking
good.
forward
And
to it.
Mark, of course, there's plenty to talk about.
Right, Jim Selwood says, I am experimenting with amp slaving. One effects loop return is after the master volume and one is before. What is the difference in gain structure? One effects loop return is after the master volume and one is before. Okay, so
Can you read the question again, Dan?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to save my
so
screen.
Jim Selwood says, I'm experimenting with amp slaving. One effects loop return
Yeah.
is after the master volume and one is before.
Yes.
What is the difference in gain structure? Okay.
So it's a post-phase inverter master volume.
Yeah, so basically, one, when you turn down the master volume, one side's going to go down and the other isn't. So you've got another, on one side, you've got another sort of ability to control the level. But as it's a master volume, it's turning down everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only experience I have of this is the Victory Sheriff 44 is a post-phase inverter master volume amp, and the effects loop comes wherever it would in that design. And what it means is the effects overdrive much more.
Right.
So you've got to be super careful with the input level on your effects if you have that option. So basically the send level, it just overdrives the effects loop, basically.
Master volumes are fascinating, actually. When you look at the different designs over the years. It's really interesting.
2 Strat questions. One is David Pinn. Hi guys, massive fan of Mick Strat Vlogs. Thank you very much. Are you happy with your Strat now? And what's the best option for a 60s style Strat? Is it a Silver Sky? Am I happy with my Strat now? Yes, I am. I've got one more thing to just try. I'm going to put a shielding plate in there and out of there just to see if it...
On the pickguard?
Yeah. Just to see what that does. Just to see, that's the final thing. Best option for a 60 style Strat? Well, a 60 Strat. Number 1 is the very best option possible. Number 2, Fender Custom Shop. Any Fender Custom Shop 60 Strat. Number 3, it gets more difficult after that because, hand on heart, I'm not a massive fan of what they've done to the American Vintage series. So I would go with a used American Vintage or one of the lacquer finish classic series.
Okay.
Silver Sky's cool, but it's obviously it's not a Strat. It's a different thing. Really cool guitar, a bit brighter sounding, a bit more urgent. To me, the Silver Sky has more of that post-64 kind of Strat sound where they use the grey bottom pickups. I don't actually know what the pickups are in the Silver Sky, but to me, it feels more like that.
Right.
It's higher fidelity all the way across all the Silver Skies I've played.
Sure.
So cool guitar, but not a Strat. And then Paul Pavlik, sorry, we're falling behind here. 56 American Vintage reissue Strat that's really noisy. Is that what I should expect from a vintage style Fender? Yes. Blue and the vintage style Strat you borrow aren't noisy at all, it seems. They really are. They are horrifically noisy in the single pickup settings. All Dan and I do is this absolute nanosecond you're not playing, off with the volume knob. And then you need to physically position yourself in the room to give you the best orientation for minimal noise.
Yeah.
And the other big advantage, of course, is Dan and I don't use gaining amps. So if you use an amp that's gained, what you'll be getting is a load of amp noise as well. And of course, we use true bypass loop switcher in G2 and super clean power on the pedal board, and you put all those things together, turning your volume down, being in the right position, best pedal board solution you could possibly hope for, and a pretty clean amp, no noise.
Yeah.
Until you roll the volume up and start playing, at that point doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel Webb says, birthday present to myself was ditching of all social media.
Yes.
What has followed is more time and more happiness. No more doom scrolling. I had to scroll to get to that comment. Yeah, well done, Daniel. That's great. I actually had a week off a little while ago and it was wonderful. And Jeffrey Farmer says, each of your favorite fuzz pedals for smooth lead tones. I've got a new one that I've been playing with all week. Well, it's not new. I've used it before, but I'm just absolutely in love with it. And it's the new one from Thorpe, the Field Marshal. Ah, man.
Yes.
That thing is
Which is
special.
a take on the
Big Cheese.
big cheese,
Yeah.
yeah. For smooth lead soloing, it's quite tough that, because most fuzz pedals are pretty good for smooth lead soloing. I'd go with a Mark 1 tone blender, even though I don't
yes.
own one, but
Yeah.
for the smoothest. But fuzz face really. The most fuzz pedals for lead soloing, that's the good part. It's when you get down here that the problems occur. So you want something that's not too under biased, because as you under bias that fuzz, what happens is it gets spittier and grittier.
Yeah.
So that's where the smoothness goes.
Yep.
So you want something that's got plenty of voltage going through those transistors, and go for look for a 3 transistor fuzz, not a 2 transistor fuzz.
Yeah, it also depends on the guitar. Like if you've got, if you're playing a Strat and you find the right fuzz face, it can be very, it can be smooth. But yeah, definitely, the thing, the big cheesy type thing is like a big muff variant, and the reason that's smooth, you've got those gain stages all cascading into each other, and they all sort of limit each other, and so. Yeah, it's this big fuzzy beautiful thing, but it's not harsh.
Yeah.
And I think the searing thing isn't harsh.
Yeah.
I think Eric Johnson, the way he does it, with the fuzz face, but also those amps are dimed, and so you've got the a harsh fuzz face, but going into a limiting amplifier. Yeah, there's a number of different ways to do it. Many different ways to.
Check out Marcus Reeves' 108 Master, because it's getting featured on that pedal show in the next couple of weeks, and his waiting list is going to go through the roof.
It's going to be nuts.
Reeves Electro 108 Master is a really good, smooth sounding fuzz. Jim Selwood has come back, and he was about the master volumes on the amps. He's basically saying, no, the effects loop return is after the master volume. So on a Hot Rod Deluxe,
Yes.
when you plug it in and then the master volume doesn't do anything, it's just on 10.
Yes.
Whereas another amp will be before. So he's saying he's got a volume problem. The only thing you can do in that instance is match the amp that you can change to the Hot Rod Deluxe and then do the volume off the pedals.
And or you can put a volume circuit in line before the effects loop return and so basically
Oh yeah, use a any sort of clean boost or anything like that and just turn it down.
Yeah, you could do, or even just get like a 50k volume pot.
Oh, I see.
Just do a little passive voltage divider circuit and turn it down that way. Yeah. As long as the that all depends on the impedance coming from the center stuff, but there are ways around it.
Yeah.
But you could literally try getting a volume pedal, sticking it in there, and finding out if that works.
So option 1, turn the amp that you can change up so it matches the level of the one you can't. Option 2, put something in line before the effects loop return of the one you can't change that can turn it down.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dan Hansen says, how do I get a rare fuzz pedal from a defunct builder cloned? I absolutely love my fuzz and have searched for over a year for another to no avail. That is such an interesting question. If you really want to get it cloned, you've got to find an engineer who A, has the time, B, knows what he's doing, and be willing to pay for it, because it's a big job. If what they've got to do is reverse engineer, especially if there's no circuit for it. If you go online and just search for a schematic schematic diagram for that pedal. And if you can find one, then it'll make the building of that defunct pedal a lot easier. If you can't, and they need to reverse engineer that pedal, it's going to take a long time, and engineers' time is very, very expensive. So maybe really look after the one that you've got.
KG Bird, do laptops cause testicular issues? Possibly.
Some call them issues.
Could be the least of our problems, couldn't it? We've been carrying one of these things around for the last 25 years. So
Yeah, right.
yeah. A Rocket Complex, had a Volante on my SA250 for a few months, and it won't be leaving. It's the closest us mortals will get to owning a Space Echo. A must-buy for delay freaks. Yeah, Dan and I have been really impressed with the Volante.
Yeah, it's
really, really impressed.
Yeah, had a lot of fun with it. The interface is so interesting, and once you get around it, it becomes sort of intuitive. Some of the sounds you can get, like that when you were panning the heads, just unreal. So good.
Tom Hand, I see the orange tape has finally given up for Dan's glasses and has now been replaced with purple tape. Danish Pete would be proud.
Yes.
Yes, he would.
Phoebus Patil says, hope you're doing well, folks. What signature guitars do you think are genuinely good instruments that you'd use in a real-life band or recording situation? My pick is the Steve Morse model. Absolutely love how versatile it is.
Gibson Les Paul for me.
Very nicely done, sir.
Yeah. I have quite a few signature guitars, bizarrely.
I love my EOB Strat.
Yeah.
There's an interesting show coming up where that gets featured a bit. And I certainly use that on songs I need to sustain it on.
My PRS DGT is a
you go.
fantastic recording guitar.
Yeah, wonderful.
And live. My Fender John Mayer Strat. I mean, to be honest, it's just a Strat with John Mayer's name on it.
The grey one.
Yeah, it's not really any different from any other Strat.
It's my favourite Strat.
Really.
Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, we could see why you'd like something like the Steve Morse model. It's got about 9,000 pickups.
Yeah,
isn't it, that one?
Man, this is years ago in Australia, and Steve Morse was doing a clinic, and I can remember my friend was studying at the school. He says, "Oh, just come along. I'll sneak you in," you know. And so he was there with a drummer and bass player that he was doing these shows with. I caught one of the shows. Of course, he's unbelievable, right? So he's at this music school in Sydney, and he'd just been playing, and they used like the cheap school gear, had his guitar. He was awesome, right? And there's probably, I don't know, 400 people there. And says, any questions? No one.
Can you play Smoke on the Water,
and
please?
I went,
you're not in that band yet.
I went, bugger this. And I put my hand up, because I wasn't even a member of the school. I was asking him about his odd note groupings that he uses. And like, there's this great song called Too Many Notes that he plays. So it's just brilliant, like groups of 5 and 7. Brilliant. Anyway, and then he said, anyone else? No one else. I sat there and went, oh, okay, hang on. Hand went up again. I must have asked him like 6 questions. Because like Steve Morse was there, it's like when, and he's saying, does anyone want to know anything? No one asked it. The only other question asked that entire time was, what strings do you use?
I knew it would be.
That was it.
I knew it
That was
would
the
be.
only other
What
question.
picks do you use?
And then at the end, I got him to sign an album. He says, oh, you're the guy with all the questions. I'm like, yeah, man.
And
But
all the
yeah, if
girls
you
in
got an
the
opportunity
audience
to
said,
ask someone a question like that, it's like, I couldn't believe it. All these wallies that were at this. I'm not guys
Wallies.
on the street. These are guys that are music school studying music. What strings do you use?
Jolly Willard, hi Jolly. I bought a Volante after seeing how you connect to it each time it's featured. Will Volante ever be a sacred pedal? Timeless like a Fuzzface Klon or RE201. What makes it a pedal sacred like that?
Oh boy.
For me, it's
Interesting
pretty
question.
simple. They don't make them anymore.
Right.
And they don't make them anymore because the stuff that they make them with is not available.
Yeah.
So that would certainly be the case for fuzz faces. With the RE201, the stuff probably is available, but it's just too much of a pain in the butt to make them. With the Klon, I know Seriatone do a pretty good job of it, but I think Bill moaned incessantly about how hard the Klon was to build and how
Oh,
expensive.
there was the cases though more than anything,
That's
wasn't
what-
it?
yeah. that casting that case was a pain, and then you can't find the unobtainium, germanium clipping diodes, etc. So I think it's that, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, but would the Volante ever be sacred? I think that's such an interesting question because I don't know that knowing Pete and how much work he puts into his stuff, and the form factor of it, and it's beautiful. I mean, just the aesthetic of it, I love.
Maybe it's what stands the test of time. As
Yeah,
well, 'cause
I think it's got to stand the test of time.
hopefully all these, we're in a position of gross oversupply in every market you can think of in
Yep.
the world, apart from food for people who really need it. But hey, that's a whole other thing. We're in a position for consumer goods. We're in a position of really gross oversupply, and hopefully all of that stuff's not going to end up in landfill and get junked. What's happened to this point is a lot of gear that might have been classic has been junked, or it's broken down, or it's just not around anymore.
Sure.
And the stuff that's survived is the stuff that's become classic.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see that happening with today's electronics goods, because they're built so robustly.
Yeah. Think about, if you think about when the Pod was first released and everyone was just banging on about how it was it's the second coming. It was such a revered piece of gear. 9 months later,
Yeah.
it was like, oh no, something else has come along that's
Yeah.
better.
No, now it really does sound like valves.
But if you
And
think
if you
about,
go to the NAMM press conference, they'll tell you exactly the same thing again.
but like the original Sans amp
Yeah.
is now a very revered piece of gear.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's still,
Stood the test of time.
They
They
so I
don't
think
make
you've
them
got to allow a
anymore.
period of time to lapse
Yeah.
before you can start looking at that. But it's a really interesting question. I really like that one. Matt Watson, DIY musician, says, I've got a small stone in my rig, but it's much louder than all my other pedals. What could be the cause, please? Here's the
Really?
last of my pocket money. Oh, bless you, Matt. Okay, so what some manufacturers will do, and I think Catlin Bread's a good example of this. There's some delays they have that when you turn them on, they're just a little bit louder.
Yeah, the reverb as well. Isn't it? It's like, oh, that's loud.
Yeah. But sometimes you hear them go, oh, that sounds really good. Sometimes it's just because it's a bit louder. And certainly with the phaser, it can be a bit louder. If it's a vintage phaser, what can happen is sometimes the buffers around the circuit that have set to be unity gain, if those resistors start to fade, it'll actually change the gain structure and cause the volume to go up or down. Now, I've got an issue with my old Duo Fuzz at the moment where one of the resistors has moved and it's much quieter than it used to be. So I've got to go through that, find the resistor that's sort of gone off spec and sort of replace it.
Say, hey, stop resisting so much. No?
Resist more. So what can you do about it? There are people that can mod it, have a look at the circuit and be able to adjust the gain if you want to turn that down. In some pedals, like in the Catlin Bread pedals, there is a little volume trim pot inside. So yeah, some of these pedals will have a trim pot inside that you'll need to go in and adjust.
Yes, and if all that seems like too much hassle, you could just get like a tiny micro boost pedal that will go below unity gain and just put it after.
Yeah.
I mean, that might create you some other problems, but it would be a quick fix, or a little EQ pedal or something that you can just... Because what's the small stone? The phaser.
Yeah.
So you might be hearing, because it's a phase shifter, you're getting a change in frequency. So it might be that something becomes really obvious.
So generally with the phasers, though, think of the old Phase 90, because that phase effect, the psychoacoustic properties of that will mean that you will perceive a drop in volume.
So it would be
I think
quieter.
what Electro-Harmonics have done to counter that, they've gone up, and I think they've actually boosted more than they need to in that specific situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting, this stuff.
Mikkel Johansson. Hello, Mikkel or Michael from Sweden. Mandatory, not enough bass player boards comment out of the way. Yeah, sorry. We'd love to do more bass player boards, but in the 2 episodes we've done, no one's watched them, so it's a bit tough. Anyway, I'm doing a live stream gig tomorrow from a small island in the sea. No board, bass, Zvex Super Duper Moog, MF Boost amp. Boost the boost. That sounds great.
Nice.
Yeah, live
Lovely.
stream gig. We so really need to learn more about streaming because
Alan's in this. Anyway. Right. RJ Roth. Loved the OD show. How is my D&M drive clipped? Soft, hard, low headroom, high headroom?
have no idea.
Is there some database which spells out these things? No. Could you mention clipping types when you feature the OD pedals? It's a really, really good question because I don't know the circuit.
yeah.
I
See,
need to
that's
go
how
and have
much
a
we
look.
care about it. We don't even know.
Yeah, well, the reality is we talked to Robert. We said, this is what we want. He sent the pedals and we played them and loved them. So I need to go and have a look at what he's done.
What the clipping diodes are is probably it's probably equally interesting as to whether they're soft or hard. So in my side, I would imagine it's not anything doing a huge amount of clipping because it's got a
So
lot of
boosty.
headroom and it's really loud. So I don't know.
Let's have a look.
Literally have no idea how what an admission that is. That's how much we care about it. I
It's a
mean,
lot.
not about the D&M drive, but about choosing pedals based on their technical characteristic. It's not like we've gone, right, I must have a hard clipping LED diode
Sure.
pedal. We didn't come at it from that.
Yeah.
We just said, I need it to do this, and Dan needs it to do this, and they need to work together. And Keeley and Crichton went, here you go. Crichton was in Red Dwarf.
And nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
And they nailed it. And we're like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So
Don't
yeah.
touch it. It's going.
We should find out, though.
Yeah,
so
it's a really good idea.
Thank you, RJ, for suggesting that we should really know more than we do.
Brendan Bigelow, greetings from Austin, Texas. My D&M drive showed up and it's awesome. Thanks for a great product. Thanks for the t-shirt too. Cheers. Thank you, Brendan. Yeah,
Thank you
we
for
are
buying
immensely
that.
proud of it. It's great. And Robert and Creighton did such an awesome job. And we're really, I mean, if you'd have told me like 10 years ago that one day Robert Keeley would have a pedal with my rude head on it, yours more attractive head on it, then I would have said you're out of your gourd.
You're drunk, mate. Go back to the bar. Stephen Manley. Suggestions on incorporating rack gear with a pedal board. I have some vintage rack units I want to use, but I don't want to convert everything to a rack. Yeah, you basically need to get the impedance and level right out of your effects loop,
Yeah.
and it's difficult.
Check the it's so interesting.
Or it can be difficult.
Yeah, just with the rack stuff, if it's made for line level stuff, then the impedance requirements are different. So if you are going to use a rack, you need to make sure that you've got a low level impedance signal driving it. So yeah, you need to look at that stuff and just make sure that everything's matched up.
BV has just pointed out that this would be a fantastic topic for our Tone Talk with Dave Friedman.
Okay.
I interviewed Michael Landau once, and he explained to me in not great detail, but in some detail about the work that him and Bob Bradshaw did back in the day,
Right.
trying to get all that stuff sorted out. Because back then it was a bit more Wild West than it is now. Now there is the technology and the knowledge. Back then, maybe less so when it came to like vintage Marshall amp or Dumble or whatever it is you've got. And oh my God, here's this amazing piece of rack studio gear.
Yep.
How do we make these things work together, in brackets, and sound good?
Yeah.
And
So-
they worked that out.
I think the great thing about talking to David Friedman is he designs the best effects loops and amplifiers I've ever heard.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Let's do that then.
Yeah. Sticky note says read bass breaker from the last VCQ for louder, cleaner sound set to 9 o'clock and master to 1. A master between 1 and 2 on medium gain should also be much brighter than the low gain setting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. People were annoyed that we had it on the low gain setting. We'll try it. We said we would try it. We'll put it in our
Okay.
10 things
Sounded great, I thought. Though.
we should try. Yeah, it did sound great.
doing its thing.
It
it's
did sound great. The question was, I think a lot of bass baker owners are going, no, it can go louder than that.
Oh, I
But
see.
I'm not sure it can, so we
see.
should try that.
Goem275 says, have you ever played any Pete Cornish pedals? And if so, what were your thoughts? So
I haven't.
I've played a bunch of them, and I think into high watts, they're some of the best sounding pedals I've ever heard. Plug them into anything else, and it's like they're really good, but it's like It's like they were actually the exception to that is his treble booster, which is extraordinary, and I've heard that into a bunch of different things and it always sounds amazing. I mean, they're amazing sounding things, but to me, it made sense. Like the oh wow, that's unbelievable came when I heard them into a high watt.
So it's all
I think, yeah. So it's a similar thing like the hotcake for me. I heard the hotcake, thought it was great. Heard it the hotcake into an AC30, which is what he designs them with, and it was like, whoa, best AC30 overdrive ever. If you think about the work that Pete Cornish has done with Davey G and the high watts to get that sound, it's like, there it is. His G2 Sustainer, I think it is.
I have no knowledge of the pedals.
They're
John
absolutely
Mayer likes them.
incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just if you any David Gilmour fan, that's the way to do it. His pedals into a high watt, it's all there.
Frankie boy, hi guys. I'm fighting depression and COVID has made things worse.
Oh mate,
we feel you. 3 things that keep me alive at the moment: playing my new custom shop Strat, listening to Tool, and watching TPS. Love from Frankfurt, Germany. Much love back to you, mate.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, we get it.
We totally get it.
So it is tough. I guess the good news is that COVID is starting to ease a little bit, and there's a few more things that we can do.
Yep.
So yeah, we wish you well, and glad you're enjoying the show.
Yeah.
And that Strat, what colour is it?
Yeah. Lee McDonald. Oh, thank you, Lee. That's so generous. Cheers, mate. He says, I want to say thank you for how your show has helped save my life. Far out. Watching your efforts as you grew from the old channel to where it is now has been greatly inspiring to me. Today, on my 36th birthday, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Oh, that's so kind.
And happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, mate. Wow, that's amazing.
That's very kind of you to say.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, you're so welcome.
Oh, wow, blimey.
Amazing.
It's heartstrings today, Dan.
Yeah.
Right.
DP says, guys, what 12-inch 8-ohm speaker would you recommend for a 63 Gibson GA 8T 15-watt amp? WGS Green Beret 25 watt, WGS Black and Blue 15 watt, Celestian Blue 15 watt. Okay, I'm just going to say Celestian Blue.
I have no idea. I've never played one of those amps. I'm going to disagree with Dan and say you need an American speaker for an American amp, but I have no idea. I don't know what it sounds like.
Okay, I'm just going to say Celestian Blue. That's I stick anything into a blue. Epic.
Nice.
That'd be great.
We've got one from earlier. Hello guys, comments from Andon5150. Comments on using a compressor with an octave fuzz. I have a Catlin bred Octopussy. And suggestions on true analog delays with modulation. The latter is easy. Analog Man ARDX20, never look back. True analog delay with modulation.
But you need to get the Amazio.
You have to have the Amazio add-on, so it ends up being pretty expensive.
Yeah. The other thing is the Chaseplus Audio red knob
Tonal recall.
Yeah. Just awesome.
For much less money, the MXR carbon copy sounds fantastic. It's pretty dark sounding, so they do a bright one as well. And I guess the Carbon Copy Deluxe would then make sense.
That.
Oh, is that Jam Delay Llama? Oh, no. Okay, that. Jam Delay Llama is really killer.
That is incredible, actually.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there. What else? Yeah, so I hope you got all of that. Top of the tree for me is the Analog Man ARDX20 with Amazio.
Yeah. Rich Osborne says, "Hey guys, I just got a vintage AC30 from."
Oh, hang on, we didn't answer the other side of the question. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Compressor with an octave fuzz.
Right.
Depends whether you put it before or after. It's not something I would think about pairing up, just because with a fuzz you've got so much compression going on anyway.
Yeah, so I'd put if what you just want is just the sound of the octave, you would. So okay, if you have the gain before the octave, you're going to be sending the octave signal, the gain into the octave signal, and that gives you the outcome, which is generally favored, as opposed to the gain after the octave, which is where you're creating the octaves and then you're distorting that. But I'd certainly have the compressor before the octave. So what you're doing is you're sending a much more uniform, stable signal to the octave, so that it gives them a little bit more breathing room. Yeah, sort of the less dynamics in the compressed signal actually works really well with compressors.
Nice.
There we go.
And back to Rich Osborne. Yeah.
Rich Osborne says, "Hey guys, I just got a vintage 1964 AC30. Yeah,
Yes,
you
you
did,
have.
you legend. And wanted to ask for some advice regarding fuzz pedals and vintage amps. I just don't want to damage the amp. Any advice is really appreciated. Cheers." Okay,
You won't damage
you won't
it
damage it.
unless it's everything. Unless you're running it flat out and then you hit it more and then you play it for ages. You still won't damage it. It'll just break.
Sound awesome.
It'll just break like they normally break.
Yeah. So the one thing with vintage amplifiers, if it's a vintage amplifier that's been played regularly, then you'll be fine. If it's a vintage amplifier that you found in the corner of a shed that hasn't been played for 50 years, then you need to be a little bit more careful because the filter capacitors and that start to degrade, and especially if they haven't been used. So when you start using it, players generally will put them on a variac and sort of bring the voltage up gradually. However, I'm assuming that it has been played. Then just use it.
Yeah.
Don't be precious. Just use it.
Yeah.
Turn it up. So the amazing thing about an AC30 is, as far as the limiting characteristics of the amplifier are concerned, it spreads over this gamut of crystally clean, huge headroom thing. Start turning it up, and the amp starts working, and then all this amazing limiting and second order harmonics and stuff come, and it's like
No louder after about there, is
yeah,
it?
yeah. It's like you get to there, it's like compression.
Yeah.
But so you've got this massive gamut of tones to work from, and depending on where you play the amplifier, the fuzzes are going to sound completely different. But just have fun with it. You're not going to break it.
Corey Pruitt says, "Where is Blue? Blue is here."
Daniel Webb says, "I bought an Ozark Resonator instead of a piece of artwork a while back as it looks cool. Are they only good for slide?"
No. Once you get familiar with the sound of resonators, you'll start noticing them everywhere. Picked,
Yeah.
especially playing chords and stuff. Because that sort of plunky, quite high transient attack, which is often pretty mid-focused. Like in a resonator, maybe you're going to hear a lot of that attacking mid before you hear the bass. I mean, the bass and the treble is there, but it's the mid-range really that's the... And you'll hear them, you might think it's a banjo, or it might be a banjo, or it might be some other picked thing, or it might be a really tiny body parlor guitar, but they all, you'll hear them all over the place.
Yeah.
Really cool, really, really cool, especially for, if you're playing, if you're putting a track down and the picked acoustic guitar just is a bit weak, it's just not cutting through, try the same pick part on a resonator. Obviously you'll need to mix it a bit lower because it is so like in your face, but really cool thing. Yeah.
My brother-in-law loaned me a really old Resonator, an old National, and it was this orange one with this picture of this Hawaiian girl painted on the back, like really rare, amazing thing.
Yeah.
But that one was only meant for slide. Like it had those flat, thin wire frets with just markers and the crazy high nut and stuff.
Yeah.
But it had all the original steels and stuff in the case, and what a sound!
Yeah, of course. What he said, if it's been set up for slide and the nut's an inch off the fretboard and it's got a square neck, then you might struggle a little bit. But just the regular resonators.
Yeah, they're
Very
great.
cool.
Herschel Thompson, yes. Hey guys, what's the new amp behind Mick?
It is a Tone King Imperial Mark II, which Dan and I have been very, very taken with.
Yes, rather lovely.
It's a really good sounding thing, good feeling thing.
Simon Holcroft, beginner question, but can you explain finding unity gain, especially if you have multiple pedals in your chain? Yes, okay. Unity gain. So what unity gain is having the same volume level or perceived volume level as something else, okay, or as your through signal. So, for example, if you've got all your pedals turned off and you're plugged into the amplifier, right, and then you get a volume level, then you turn on another pedal and having that pedal come in at the same level. Now, where it gets interesting is the different frequencies that are accentuated by different pedals. So, for example, if you turn on a clon, for example, where it doesn't have a lot of bottom end, but it's got a lot of mids.
Specifically, Dan?
Specifically 1K.
1K. It's got quite a lot of 1K.
So finding unity gain for that, where you're dealing now with different frequencies, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So what I try and do is, so the clon, for example, even though you will hear, you might set it to what you perceive as a unity volume, and you turn it on and you will hear that mid-range, but what you'll feel is that lack of bottom end because the mid-range is so pronounced. Yeah. What I like to try and do is I listen for the lower frequencies, and I try and get those balanced as much as anything so that it doesn't feel like the bottom end's just fallen away. Yes, you'll really hear those mid peaks, but that's the sound of the pedal. You know? So just finding things like modulation pedals and delays and that's really simple because you're still using the same basic through signal, but just finding that balance with overdrive signals is tricky. Another really cool trick to do that is to set up some white noise. So if you go onto YouTube, you'll find videos of just white noise. Set that up with your little speaker, get that going, and then find unity gain with your gain pedals like that. And you setting them with some white noise is akin to what it's like frequency-wise in a band. Yeah, it's a really good way to do it.
No way.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's really, really interesting. It is tough because, as he said, there's a psychoacoustic factor in changing the EQ. The other way is you could just look at the old lady and the kid in the front row of the audience and how much they wince when you turn the pedals on and off.
That's just the bum notes, dude.
I love that from all the wedding gigs. You do the sound check and there's always some 5-year-old running around going, "Nah!" And the old person just gets up and walks out and goes, "Why do they have to have music at these things?"
Well, I remember Tin and I got married. We got married in Miami and had our reception, just a party back here, and we had a lot of teens, family, and some of her older relatives and stuff. And I had a band, had some friends over, playing songs. It was so much fun, and you see all the elderly people at the back going, and it wasn't loud by any stretch of the imagination.
They can't hear anything anyway.
No, I know. It's just like, dude, you're deaf.
Yeah.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Sorry, what's that? It's like, Anyway,
actually, I think what happens as you get older, it's harder to pick out foreground from background.
Oh yes, of course. That's
a very
interesting.
Common hearing loss issue as you get older, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Booking band. Same. Catherine and I got married. I put a band together to play there, so they didn't feel quite so bad about going, "Can you please?" Oh, it's him. I did have a 50-watt 2-rock Studio Pro with the 212 cab for that gig though, so it wasn't quite.
Very nice.
I actually think it was wet dry with something else as well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Andy Yates. Hello, Andy.
Hello,
Thanks
Andy.
for all you do to inspire us to play our guitars. That's the best thing. If that's what we do, that's the best thing.
That is the best.
I bought my Volante after your very first video about it, and it's an inspiring addition to my board ever since. A lot of Volante lovers out there.
Yeah. It's worth love.
Strymon must have sold bucket loads of those.
Yeah. No, it's done right.
Noah Bottimer. I don't use a compressor much, but Mick knocked me over with the near oscillation bit. Ran a Love Squeeze clone into a crunchy homemade JTM 45 with delay, reverb in the effects loop, amazed by the touch sensitivity, as Dan says, gone.
Awesome, mate.
Nice. Glad it worked.
Well done.
Glad it worked, Noah. TH Wath says fly fishing is a glorious waste of time.
Ah.
I think he means that in an entirely positive way.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. You off, Fraser?
See you, buddy.
Everyone say cheerio to Fraser. We're pleased to say that Fraser is back, making us sound good again, apart from the clicking audio, which is not his fault. See you tomorrow, mate. Actually, are we gonna? I'll text you.
Sticky Note says, I have a big muff R style, so ram head style, TS Mini, and an LPB one in that order. Want to pick up a new gain stage that is more traditional distortion. Any suggestions? So suggestions as to where you put it. So TS1 Mini, I would stick it. So you got a big muff and TS1 Mini. So I'm assuming with the more traditional distortion, you won't use it in conjunction with the big muff. So I'd put it at the front with the big muff and then either use the TS to boost it for the solo or the LP1 to boost it for the solo. I think that's a good place to put it. Sort of have the big muff and the distortion together and set up your different sounds on that, but equally.
Is it the LPB one, the electro harmonics thing? Is that what he's talking about?
LPB1 booster.
Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got the. Well,
I seem to remember that being fairly high headroom.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
very high headroom.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, work great. Charlie on the MTA, thank you, mate. That's very generous. Cheers, mate.
Metal Thrashing Matt, any love for the Diamond Memory Lane Junior
Are you kidding?
versus the ARDX20? The Memory Lane Junior has got to be among the best digital analog delays I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
It is really spectacularly good. Everything Diamond makes is good. Dan and I were talking about this the other day. We were opening up some pedals just to see a few things. And lo and behold, Diamond just...
They know their
They
stuff.
know their stuff, which is not to suggest that other people don't know their stuff, but the Diamond stuff is done in such a beautiful way. However, I've never heard any pedal that sounds as good as the ARDX20
Yeah, it's very
for
special.
analog delay, in my humble opinion.
Yep, totally agree. Noah Bottomer. P.S. The Component Echo won the show. So good. I finally made an account to thank you guys. Much love from Michigan. Oh, thank you,
bless
mate.
you.
That's very kind. Yeah, much love back to you in Michigan. That's, yeah.
Matt Velich. Hello, Matt. And I hope it's Velich. It may be Velik, but I think it might be Velich. He says, looking at versatile dual reverb delays, others besides Source Audio Collider, Keeley Delay Works Station, and the Fender Reflecting Pool. The Collider would be my number one choice every day of the week.
The other one is GFI do one
Yeah,
called
Specular
Specular
Tempest.
Tempest,
Yeah,
which is really, really good. Really,
Yeah.
really good.
I think what do we like about the Collider? It has analog drive-through,
Yes, the Collider has analog drive-through.
which is a big deal
yeah,
for
you've
me
gotta
and
have that.
Daniel.
Yep.
I don't think the Keeley workstations do, but don't quote me on that. Fender Reflecting Pool, not entirely sure. You know, what else? What else has delay and reverb? There's so much
the
good
Wampler-
stuff out there.
The Wampler delay reverb.
Yeah, but I guess you want versatile. Okay, so you want versatility in the reverb and the delay. So there are some pedals that kind of do great reverb and add a little bit of delay.
Yeah.
And there are some that maybe go full of featured on the delay and just add a spring reverb or something.
Sure.
Such as, what's the Strymon one, the El Capistan?
Yes.
But then that's very specifically a
Yeah,
tape
like the
driven
reverb
thing.
on the tape machine.
Yeah.
You know, you get things like the Echo system. There's a preset on that that's got reverb in
Yeah.
it, and the same with the reverb versions has a
I
bit
can't
of delay.
think of anything other than the Collider, you know?
Yeah, the Collider, Specular Tempest is great, but the Collider is awesome.
Yeah.
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 Grant Seaman says, "Hello, Mick and Dan. I now have my very own Blue, a 2005 FSR American vintage player, metallic ice blue in nitrocellulose with matching headstock. Very nice. Very nice. Do you like the matching headstock? Look.
Yeah, I do. I very much like it. Yeah, I love it, in fact.
Wow.
Yeah, especially on Jazzmasters and Jaguars.
Right.
1 year at Frankfurt, Fender did a whole run of matching headstock custom shop strats and tellies. And it's like, oh, so cool. Some people really don't like it. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I turned up to I turned up to a rehearsal. I was dropping some stuff off for Paul Turner, and actually went to Jamiroquai's house to drop it off. And then Rob Harris had this amazing Strat matching headstock, and yeah, that looks so cool. It's the matching headstock gives the guitar a very different feel as far as visual
Yeah, it's a
content
different
is.
aesthetic, isn't
It's
it?
really interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just scrolling back through. I'm trying to find a question that I've missed, which I have lost. Anyway, maybe it will come back up again because BV is doing such an awesome job of moderating today. And thank you.
Thomas Seaton said the Space Echo sounded unworldly on Friday, noise and all. So it's so interesting. So those delays, like the Space Echo, the EP1, where they don't use companders, and what they do is they really boost the signal getting onto the tape, and it does inherently make them noisy. But there's something. The noise doesn't detract. It's a weird thing with some of those circuits that you hear them and it's like, oh man, there's a lot going on there. But then you start to play them, it's like the noise becomes part of it.
I always think of it like spill when you're recording a band.
Right.
It's like if it just glues the thing together,
Yeah.
and rock and roll is full of noise and hiss and hum. And my sister's on from sunny Sweden. Hello,
Oh, wow.
Michelle. How are you? Now, somebody else was saying, what about Michael Krause? Hi, Michael. What about the Dodd Rubberneck compared to the ARDX? It's been a long time since I played the Rubberneck, and I can't remember it well enough to pass judgment.
Right.
If you open it up and it's all lovely, beautiful through-hole components, an amazing design, then I suspect it might sound as good. I know it's well loved, the Dodd Rubberneck.
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
don't know it.
I remember when it came out at NAMM.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know it well enough to
We must
really
get
say.
one. Rob Goodfellow says Dan's Lego Chain of Delay was something awesome. I recently watched Miles Davis' Birth of Cool 2019 last week. The sound design makes use of Bitches Brute's tape delay trumpet run. Wow, I must check that out. Yeah, awesome. Kevin Stevenson says, thanks for the always given great advice and suggestions. Have you ever used the Love Pedal Les Lewis? I have. I can't remember it that well. I've got a few Love Pedals. I've got a really old Eternity, which is awesome. I've got a Balance, which is like the high gain version of the Church of Tone. And the Amp 11, is it?
Yeah, Love Pedal.
Love Pedal, but now I have played the Les Louis, which is like is it the blonde breakup type pedal? I can't remember, but I have played one. Yeah, but obviously I didn't walk home with it. So yeah, but he does make some great stuff. Matthew Denby says, just had my first empty house day with a new V40 Deluxe, his first valve amp. Wow.
Nice.
Flipped it into full power mode. Wow. Now I'm hearing my pedals. Yes, and yes.
That's the shizzle right there.
There you go.
Nice choice. Andreas Ham says, one pickup to rule them all, but Les Paul Jr. or SG Jr. So he's saying it's a P90. But
Right.
should it be in a Les Paul Jr. or an SG Jr.? I.e., I presume you mean that shaped thing, which actually is.
Why not have both?
That is Les Paul, which makes it more confusing. Or this shaped thing, which is what the Les Paul Jr. became.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that or this. It's tough on that. They don't in Gibson form. They don't sound a million miles apart. That probably has a bit more poise about it, I would say, because that body's thinner.
Right.
Yeah, I'd go with that, I think. Just because the SG is almost the coolest guitar ever invented.
I do. I love this guitar. It's just awesome.
I think you'd have to play some and just buy the one that talks to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't say, put me down.
You really make that guitar talk.
Amish Trivedi says, recommendations for pots for a Telecaster. I've just installed Fender Pure Vintage, and the volume rolls off too fast for me. Yeah, so audio taper pots are logarithmic, basically. And what happens with single coils, especially in Fender guitars, you go from 10 to 8 and you lose 60% of your volume, for want of a, probably those aren't the exact numbers, but you lose way more at the top than you do at the bottom. So you could try some linear taper pots.
Mm-hmm.
Not massively popular choices for Fender guitars, but you could certainly try it. Or just learn the microtonal drop-off.
Right.
That you know that between 10 and 9,
Yeah.
you've got that much drop-off. And then between 9 and 8, you've got that much drop-off. And then between 8 and 7, you've got that much drop-off. So just learn to live with it might be one way to do it. But
Yeah, it is tricky. It is tricky.
yeah.
Let's get some, get some linear CTS pots and chuck those in.
Try it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cheap and easy way to tell whether you're going to like it or not.
Yeah. Brian James says, "Hi guys, hope you're both doing well. I'm looking for an amp primarily used at home for a BT Jet. Needs an effects loop and sub £600. Any recommendations?" What's a BT Jet?
But Broadtron Jet?
Oh, okay, right.
Is it a Gretsch
Yes,
guitar?
the Gretsch. Okay.
Sub £600.
What's the AC15?
Yeah, used AC15. I think they're about 600-700, aren't they? Something like that.
I think use AC15 would be really good.
No effects loop.
Isn't the new one? No effects loop? Okay.
Don't think so.
Ah,
Yeah, it's tough.
It's
Tough
really,
that.
yeah.
It's a very difficult price point. I would be tempted to have a look at some of the Tonewood Bugera brand. Fender Bass Breaker, maybe. I don't know if they're sub 600. It's just got an effects loop on it. No effects
think
loop on
so.
this. But this brand, Bugera from Tonewood in Germany,
it's a great sounding amp, that.
just extremely cost effective.
Yeah.
Pretty decent stuff, and no doubt there'll be something in that range that suits your needs. Yeah, I would have a look at that. This does sound pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Garrick sniffing.
Gryffindor.
It's Gryffindor. 10 points to Gryffindor. He says, "I was inspired by Mick's American Vintage Strats to get a 2012 American Vintage 64 Telecaster.
There you go.
Can't thank you enough for turning me onto this series."
That's a great guitar. I did one of the Guitarist magazine demos for that guitar, I think,
Right.
and that was my favourite. I think the 60,
Really?
the 64. Yeah,
Wow.
such a cool guitar. Apologies for the crackling audio. We've got a problem between our UA Apollo interface and the IK Multimedia interface, which is connected to Dan's iPhone. So we just do need to find a better way to do this, and apologies for the crackling audio. But massive thanks to BV for moderating for us today, as always.
Yes.
He's doing an amazing job.
Legend. Andy Milne says, "Dan, do you still have the Hampstead amp? Your recent practice is really paying off, in my opinion. Great show." Thank you, Andy. Yes, I still have it. Great amp. I use it. It's back in Swindon at Gig Rig headquarters, and I use it there, trying to get some more videos done for that, just not having time. But yeah, it's back at Swindon Shrang. Not what was it? The
What did we call that?
this
place?
is Shangri-La.
Yeah.
The other place was what? I can't
Can't even remember. It's like ancient history, Dan.
Pedal Shed or something. I don't
Yeah, that pedal shed.
That Pedal Shed. There you go.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Cornan1980 says, "Love the Lego board in last week's episode. Turns out I've been using my board as a tape delay for years. The sounds you were getting were ones I build frequently. It was a big aha episode for me."
Lovely.
Yeah, it was really cool, actually. Really cool. I think what I enjoyed about it was not everybody out there wants 58 pedals on their board.
Yeah.
Not everyone wants every option of everything. Some people just want a really great overdrive and a really great delay. And you go through 20 overdrive pedals and 20 delay pedals, and you're like, nah, none of these is quite the right thing for me.
Yeah.
So if that's you and you are a bit nuts like Dan, you could just sculpt that delay exactly as you want it.
Yeah.
Just changing these different component parts to be exactly where you want it to be. It's crazy because it's expensive, it's complex, it takes up a lot of room, but if it inspires you and it makes you play great and it makes you want to play, then it's not expensive.
Yep.
It's where you should be.
Yep. Yes, lots of fun. Lots of fun. More of that fun coming up. David Burke says, I'm with you, Mick. Nothing nicer on a Fender than a 7.25 radius neck. Sad they don't make them as standard on US original or even custom shop anymore.
It's really funny that why might it be? Right, it might be because a lot of people's experience of a 7.25-inch radius neck is that it frets out. So you bend and then it frets out, right? And it doesn't play cleanly because you need to have the action a little bit higher than you might otherwise want in order for it to not fret out. And also bigger frets really helps.
Right.
And then a really epically good setup job. So it might be, and I don't want to cast aspersions here, but it might be that it's not that possible to keep guitars in that, A, send them out from the factory setup in a way that is appealing to play, and B, hang it on a music shop wall for the 3 months that it doesn't sell, when it moves all over the place and you pick it up and you go, man, I don't like this at all. But, I mean, you know, Stevie Ray, Michael Landau, Jimi Hendrix, Ritchie Blackmore, all the best Strat players in history.
Yeah, all use that.
All use that radius. So I'm not quite sure what happened after that to make it not any good anymore. Because Hendrix did some pretty big string bends. Stevie Ray did some pretty big string bends. Now,
Yeah,
it might be that the techs were either
Filing down.
taking some out of the middle of the fretboard and maybe, you know, in effect re-radiusing it. Certainly, if you stick huge frets on there and you take more out of the middle of the fret than you do the edge of the fret, could be something to do with that. But yeah, I'm with you. I love the 7.25.
Yep.
It's just, to me, it's what it should be. But you know.
JT3483 says, thank you for the countless hours of entertainment and education. Have either of you tried the Benson amps yet? I think you would really like them. I haven't, but I'm really looking forward to trying one out.
Yes, everyone that plays them says they sound awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No reason to think they wouldn't, you know, look at the way they're made, the stuff,
Yeah.
the components they use. Gonna sound wonderful, I'm sure.
We've got 992 people watching us at the moment.
992.
Eight shy.
I don't
of
believe
1K.
Ducati ever made a 992.
You know what?
It's Ducatis over the years.
Oh, okay.
996, 916, 996 were really iconic bikes.
Right, okay.
For-
I'll let you know when we get to 996 then.
Okay, great.
All right.
Andy Yates, I haven't bonded with modulation except harmonic trem. I've tried chorus, phaser and flanger, thinking maybe a mini vent. Maybe mod isn't for me and I need a second delay. Is there a mod pedal for the modiverse? You've already said it. I'd go with the micro vent actually, because it's a bit less expensive, and they sound fantastic.
Yes, they really do.
So rotary speaker, I would say, is the mod effect for people who don't like modulation.
Or try it and wet dry. That's what you got to do.
Then it all makes sense.
Then it all makes sense.
What chorus have you tried as well? If you've tried, so chorus for me sits in three broad places. One is lovely vintage C2 thick, or C1 thick. Awesome. Some people don't like that. Come forward from there, digital, crystal, skinny, nasty 80s chorus. Some people don't like that. And then the Dimension tri-chorus school of things, which is some of this and just a tiny bit of that. And they can work really well. They can work really well. So might maybe try a different type of chorus is what I'm galloping towards.
Sure.
Trotting towards.
Winston Bellman, thank you very much, mate. That's very generous of you. Gabriel Rodriguez says, hello, gents. Trying to teach myself some basic theory. In your opinion, what are the pros and cons of learning the 5-pattern major scale versus the 7, or 3 notes per string? Thanks, best wishes, and a solid high five. Solid high five back. Okay. Right. So when you first learn modes, okay, you learn them from So on G, and you learn them then, and then from here, and then from, and you know,
Do
all
you?
that.
What, you just play the same pattern?
No. It's different patterns, but the same scale. So G, right? But if I start on A, I'm still playing all the notes
Oh, in the C major.
from
From
G
G major.
From G major. Start on the B.
That's
Phrygian,
very impressive.
Lydian, you know,
Yeah.
and Dorian. You know, so if you, that's the 7 methods, and I think if you're really going to get into it, you need to know those, because what that will then do is it will give you the learning the modes like that. You'll get the patterns in your fingers, but it'll also give you the different intervals, which is really important. So, like, you know, G, if I think of Lydian, for example, which happens off the 4th mode starting from C, but if I play all the notes in G, and that's just playing C, but using all the notes from G. So I think if you do the 5 pattern thing, which I don't really know what that is, it's cool, and you get to know, you get to know the patterns.
Is it instead of playing all the way up and down the scale, you play 5 notes and then you start on the next note and you play 5, and then you start on the next note and you play 5? Is it that?
I don't know.
The way people approach pentatonics?
I don't know. I think is that not the 5, like position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, 5?
Oh, it could be that.
Um,
I like that approach to the minor pentatonic, where you go.
right.
And you do it, and then when you do it really fast, you sound like,
You get
yeah.
right.
That's Eric Johnson 5 note.
Yeah, so I would say learn the modes in every position, because then you actually and understand the intervals, and that's more important. Understanding the intervals is more important than actually understanding the. I mean, you will get the positions under your fingers anyway. But now, if I'm thinking, Lydian over G, I'm thinking of the sharp 4. As opposed to the pattern, That's my 2 cents anyway.
It's really tough, isn't it? So I've been playing the guitar since I was 8 years old.
Right.
And, been playing out since I was about 13, 14 maybe. And I don't know any of this stuff, which is no excuse, and you should know, and I should know, but I've never studied. What I'm learning, having been friends with Dan and having the great fortune to be around great players my whole working life, is that, imagine a circle. Here's the circle. Here's the sphere of guitar playing.
Mm-hmm.
This is being a great guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at Michael Landau, or I don't know,
Joey,
or Petrucci, or just line them up. All the great guitar players are out there. They live in that sphere. Modes is a way into the sphere that's here.
Sure.
And then like basic diatonic theory is here, and scales is here, and so basically it's about perspective. So if you take one of those approaches and you look at guitar playing, you go, wow, there's awesome guitar playing down there, and I'm going to travel there through learning modes.
Yep.
And then you get into the middle of guitar playing and you go, wow, these modes haven't really taught me anything, because I don't know anything about basic diatonic theory.
Some would say too much perspective.
And then once you go all the way through and you come out the other side, you go, oh, I can do this. Or actually you don't, you go around the edge. And then it's only putting all this stuff together. And I sort of get glimpses of it, having conversations with you and Joey, and it's putting it all together. And it's almost like, some people will talk about caged theory, which to me is just, that's a combination of diatonic theory and modes, because it's just playing a C shape there, or there, or there. It's just it's just another way to unlock the fretboard.
Yeah, the Acacia is really good actually. It's a simple, it's sort of an easy way to lock onto it. I sort of went the whole hog and did the that stuff. But I think
It's the same information.
it's
though,
the same
isn't it?
information. It's exactly
It's
the
just
same.
a different way of explaining it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've got an analytical brain, and when I hear those sounds, I need to understand what's going on. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I can make music with it. If I could do what you do and create a phrase with 3 notes that comes from here, I never would have done anything else. But I can't. So I needed to do something that at least was interesting to me, and I do get that from modal things and harmony
all
and
of that,
chords
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff, but if I could just go and do that and be awesome, I'd just do that.
I wish I'd learned chords, because I
You're
think
good, mate.
if you learn the chords and you learn the theory behind the chords, modes are no problem.
Yeah, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
all the same.
Yeah. Leyland Berg says, have you tried desmodromic valves? Indeed I have, and I like the sound of them at about 7,000 to 8,000 RPM. That's when they really open up and sound fantastic in certain bikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Jay Elton, looking forward to Dan's delay deep dive documentary debut. More detail on the Lego delay pedal on his vlog. So a plan is afoot, and it's going to be fun. John W777 says, cheers guys. Here's my semi-monthly contribution to the TPS Green Room beer cooler.
Bless you.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you very
Legend.
much.
Have you ever had a Bogner Lagrange on TPS? I don't remember finding it.
No, we should.
Favorite Marshall and a box pedal? No, no. So we need to get some.
Yeah, we need to get
I
some
want
Bogner
one of his
stuff.
Goldfinger
Yeah.
amps and some of his pedals.
Yeah.
Because I've heard loads of people going on about them.
I
I only
really
heard them
like-
at a guitar show once, and I thought they sounded great.
Yeah, the Lagrange, I've definitely heard it and liked it. The ones I also really liked were like the Burnley and
Oh, the
Wessex.
Burnley ones. Oh,
They had like a separate transformer in them or
yeah.
something.
I think
some of
the
them did.
Burnley, is that the one that had a Neve
Yeah.
design transformer in
Something
them?
like that.
Yeah, really cool.
Alexander Christoffel, I love these kind of questions, the sort of philosophical part of playing in a way. Isn't the most important element to getting a great tone the way you play, i.e. your fingers? Or does a great rig also improve a mediocre player's tone the same way it does a great player's?
Okay, you start. Okay.
Existentialism warning. And I'm going to requote somebody here, and I can't remember who it is I'm requoting, so I'm really sorry, and I might remember part way through who
Okay.
it is I'm requoting. It's
Nietzsche
all,
Van Halen.
it's all out there. All you are is a conduit through which it flows. And if everything is aligned, take Jimmy, for example.
Mm.
Jimmy just plucked it out of wherever it came from. It flew through him and came out, and it wasn't impeded.
Right.
And that's the same for all great artists, in my opinion, whether you're talking about architecture or fine art, or sculpture, or playing the guitar, whatever it is you do. All you are is the conduit through which it flows in order for this human connection to be made.
Mm-hmm.
All the gear does is take a barrier out of the way.
I love that.
It just removes a barrier. So if what's trying to flow hits a barrier that it doesn't want to flow through, either because you're not connecting or it's not connecting with you, or the connection is broken. So it doesn't matter whether you're a great player or a mediocre player, because if it's flowing, you are a great player.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one note, if you feel it from the depths of your heart and it travels through you, you are a great player.
Yep. I love that.
There you go. That's
very
what I
good.
think.
Yep. I mean, so it's the same point for me. What the if you're, who's calling who a mediocre player? That's on whose terms is that happening? If you're getting somewhere with the way that you feel when you play guitar and the way that you approach notes, what a really good rig and a really good amp will do is it will bring more of that to the fore. What it will also do is bring, but it doesn't just bring the good stuff, it brings everything. So what I find is the guys who have got the really good players, the reason they use really good rigs is because exactly what Mick said, you know, the stuff doesn't get in the way, but it amplifies everything they do. And they don't hide behind, they find these things that connect with them and bring all the nuances and stuff that they're playing out. And because that's where the magic is. The magic is not in, note choice or pentatonic. It's in the tiny details. I was listening to Eric Johnson the other day and thinking, the guy basically, some of his rigs got basically the same setup as Jimmy did. Never have two guitar players sounded different. The way that he's got his rig dimed, the way that he picks like up with the side of the string, and he just has everything to be able to express himself and say what he wants to say. And, he's found the rig to be able to do that. So, and what you'll find is there's this marriage between the way that you play and the gear that you use. And they do go hand in hand. And the better you play and you hear different things, you try different things, you go, actually, that connects with me more now. Actually, I'm really hearing myself there and I need to work on that part of my playing. And then that playing comes up, and so it sort of does that. There you go. That's me.
I'm with you.
Awesome.
Dave Thompson, hello
Hey,
from
Dave.
Pennsylvania. Hello, Dave. I'm recommending the new Jason Isbell record. The production is reminiscent of a Dire Straits record. It's so good.
Wow.
The record is called Reunions. I'd love to hear your opinion. Yes, I'll have a listen to that.
Yes,
I
me
haven't heard
too.
it yet. I don't believe. I like Jason Isbell.
Oh, you played some stuff of his last week, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
This made me laugh. Enigma 56. I've just noticed this. Mick stacks his guitars in the rack 6th string down. Dan stacks his guitars 1st string down. Any reason for that? Yes, so they face forwards.
Yeah.
Is the only reason.
Joe Charlesworth, what do you think of Rich Light? I just got a used SG Custom, which I thought had an ebony board, but it turns out no. It plays great, but I'm just not sure how I feel about it because I'm old-fashioned. This is such an interesting question. Okay, I bought a Martin guitar, acoustic guitar, years ago because I'd always wanted... I had a Martin small-bodied, and it was like all the mahogany everywhere, and it was great, but it was a bit woolly. Anyway, there was a Martin Dreadnought, and I played it. I thought, oh, this is really nice, and so I bought it. I sold the old guitar, bought this guitar. I was playing it, like, yeah, it's lovely. Something was a little bit off, but I thought it's just a new guitar, it needs to be played in. And I found out that the fingerboard was some composite material. And as soon as I found that out, I fell out of love with the guitar because I didn't buy the guitar primarily because of the way it played. I bought it because I'd always wanted a Martin. And I wanted the Martin tradition. I wanted that, the stuff that makes Martins great. Now, not to say that if I'd played some other guitar and just picked it up and gone, oh, this is amazing, it wouldn't have bothered me. But the reason it bothered me was because it was Martin. Same thing as if I'd bought a Fender Custom Shop 63 thing, found out that it wasn't, it was some sort of composite
Pal
material.
instead of rosewood.
Exactly.
Yeah. I remember when Martin and Gibson got a lot of stick for it, actually, started to use Rich Light. And I'm trying to remember the name of the other stuff. Anyway, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a man-made substance that uses some form of kind of epoxy-type resin and some fibrous material. I don't know if it's wood fibre or what it is, but anyway, it's the stuff you make your kitchen worktop out of, essentially.
Right.
And Gibson started using it extensively on a bunch of guitars, and so did Martin. I was trying to remember the name of the other stuff. Anyway, I thought it was all right. I played quite a few SGs with it, and I thought it was absolutely fine because I'm not au fait with ebony. I don't have any guitars with ebony fingerboards. I
Right.
never have. So to me, it just felt nice and flat and played really good. I haven't seen one 10 years down the line,
Right.
so I don't know how it wears.
Mm,
But I would imagine if it's, it's probably harder than wood, I would imagine.
sure.
But I thought the guitar sounded okay. And it's all in the round, right? Everything matters. So Dan said he picks up that Martin acoustic. What you might not know is the neck joint in a Martin acoustic guitar below £1,600 at the time was very different from the one,
Right. Yeah.
the ones
yeah,
up
yeah,
from
yeah,
there,
yeah.
depending on the series. And there's a bunch of different bracing techniques that they use, and everything is to hit a price point. So, you're buying something that's ostensibly D28 shaped, but it really isn't that. Same, and with electric guitars it's a little bit easier because you get a piece of alder and you attach it to a piece of maple
Yeah.
with a bit of rosewood or palferro on a fingerboard, attach some hardware to it, and it's ostensibly the same thing. Acoustic guitars, like,
Vastly different.
whole other
Yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah,
You change one brace or one neck joint or whatever, and everything changes. So, what you're saying is what Dan said. He found out it was Richlight, and it annoyed him because he doesn't want to have something that he didn't think he was buying.
It was Well, it's just I didn't want a Martin with that. If it had
Yeah.
been some other guitar that I didn't know and I just picked up and said this is amazing, it wouldn't have bothered me in the slightest. But it was just there's a sense of history and romanticism and all this sort of stuff that we attach to these instruments that we pour our heart and souls into, and I wanted it to be a tree. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's just the way that I felt about it.
Yeah, it's an emotional attachment.
Yeah, and
which is really important.
it is really important because that's art, man. That's music.
we all talk about being like supremely objective and all these things, ruthlessly A/B testing things and blind testing, and it's like that's not how it works, is it? You put on a record and you feel whatever you feel. What's that stuff that gets released? Endorphin and the other.
Dolphins.
Yeah, dolphins. Dolphins swim down your bloodstream. It's an emotional connection. Yeah,
Totally.
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. But then, how far do you want to go? Play a Strat with a proper Brazilian rosewood board,
Yeah.
or an old Martin with Brazilian rosewood back and sides. You're like, oh my god, this is a different thing.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
If it survived.
Yep.
But yeah. Anyway,
Perilous Temple.
SG Custom. Joe, you're in the game.
Yeah, totally. Perilous Temple. Cheers, mates. Love you, boys. It's my birthday today. Oh, mate. Happy birthday. I hope you have an awesome day. Yes, thank you very much. That's very generous.
David Burke says, "Oh no, I'm agreeing with Mick again. I have Les Pauls with Richlight. I noticed they're different to the ones with rosewood, but I don't think I'd notice versus ebony. Yeah, that's the point, isn't it?
Ebony's quite bright, I find.
It's harder.
Yeah, right.
It's harder than rosewood, and it's said to sound brighter.
So Dave Gregory has got this really old 61 SG Custom, the white one, 3 pickup,
Oh,
and that's got the old
3 pickup.
3 pickup. Yeah. Go have a bite to eat, and that's got the old ebony board on it. And the thing is just, man, it's just amazing. And I've played a few old guitars with the ebony, and they do retain that quickness. It's like, it's such a different thing between your maple or rosewood. Put the ebony on there. So I think a lot of the heavier metal guys like the ebony because they're so quick.
Yeah. Descended from Les Paul Customs as well, of course.
Right.
Or most of them had ebony.
Right. Oh wow.
Ebony boards. Benjamin Heller, this is a great question. TPS Legends. Well, thank you. I think that was me and Dan like 5 years ago. I went to get my wet dry Princeton reverb to behave as my basement and bandmaster. So he's saying you've got 2 wet dry rigs, one with a Princeton, which presumably is a Tweed Princeton or a non-Princeton reverb, and a Princeton reverb, 2 Princetons, to behave the same way as my basement and bandmaster.
Okay.
However, the TS10, this is interesting. The TS10 and the KOT sound strange into the smaller amps. Why is that, Dan?
Headroom.
And mid-range. So, smaller boxes, right? In the Princeton and the Princeton reverb, I've always found Princetons to be quite mid-heavy.
Oh, wow, okay.
Compared to, to be fair, Bandmaster is pretty mid-heavy. But they have that extended treble thing, the Bandmasters. I think they do anyway, like a presence. And of course, Basement's just wide open, massive thing. But smaller box in the Princeton, and I'm assuming your Princetons have got 10-inch speakers. Smaller box, smaller speaker, more boxy. What do? You stick a TS in there. What's that got? It's got more boxy.
Yeah.
So you're basically boxying up something that always sounds a bit boxy anyway. So what you need, in my opinion, although you are talking about a TS10, which isn't quite the same as the TS9 or 808, is to try and find an overdrive pedal that maybe doesn't have such an obvious mid hump.
Yep. Yeah.
What would we suggest? Or a different mid hump, something that's further up. What would we suggest?
I think in that rig, something like a Lightspeed,
Yeah.
something just going in the other way, something much, much flatter.
See, the KOT, everyone thinks it's transparent. It's not. It's quite significantly mid-pushed.
Yeah, it really is. The Timmy
Timmy
and Lightspeed. Put that on that dry rig.
Timmy is a great shout.
Yeah. Right, Jeff Smith. Thank you, Jeff. He says, hello, chaps. I turned 50, finished my red telly inspired by Dan's red. Good man. Thoughts on 18-watt Marshalls and any updates on the Tweedy amps you built? So I've got a Mallard 18-watt Marshall, and I love it. I used it, I gigged with it for years. It was my second amplifier. I had that and the Vox. Just awesome. And it's a very simple circuit. Marshall did a reissue of them a while ago, and they were great. But yeah, the 18-watt Marshall circuit is legendary. You know, non-master volume, just crank it and have at it.
I like them when they're quiet. The 18-watt, if you're talking about the 18-watt like 1974 type, I like them when they're quiet. That tube rectifier for me, when it's
the EZ81
banging.
Yeah,
much prefer the 2061 with
the 20-watt with the solid state
PA
rectifier.
headroom.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
much prefer it at volume.
Okay.
But yeah, what a sound! What a sound!
Yeah.
Edwin Pringle, how do you like the new Tone King? I've never seen that one on the show. It's coming up. We like it very, very much.
It's beautiful.
It seems to work at a volume in here that is not painful, and it records real nice.
Yeah,
so,
delicious.
And then we've got Aaron Short. Aaron, do you use the whammy bar on your Blue Strat? I can't get mine to stay in tune. Is it possible for a non-Floyd Rose to stay in tune, or should I just block it? Okay, Aaron, welcome to Strats. Yes, it's absolutely possible to get them to play in tune. Massively so. I'll give you a very quick lesson. Any point where there is friction between string and guitar is an area that you need to worry about, and that starts right back here in the ferrules. Comes out of there, goes over the saddles, goes over the nut into the tuners. Right, tuners not a problem because they lock down. You stick the string down in the end and you wind, and as long as you wind each successive wind underneath the last and you tune up to the note and not down, they're never going to move. The nut needs to be cut so there's no friction, and for that you could use something like nut sauce. A, it needs to be cut brilliantly in the first place. B, you could use a nut sauce, or you could use a bit of pencil graphite just in there, just to make sure that this can move smoothly. Then we come back. Now the problem really starts. If you've got decent bent steel saddles, there shouldn't be a great deal of friction in those. Even better, titanium if you want minimum friction. People get into all kinds of things like Graphtec string saver saddles made of graphite. Yep, they're great, but they sound different. Now comes the big problem. These 6 springs here, 6 screws here that attach the front plate of the trem block to the body are the biggest point of friction. Depending on how you have your vibrato set, the outer 2 need to be pretty much all the way down, and the inner 4 need to be raised half a turn.
Oh, wow.
And what that means is you can use the whammy
That's very good. That's great.
Right, so it is absolutely possible, and this isn't even a 2-pivot one, right? The 2-pivot ones are easy peasy because then it's just the bridge actually sits off the body of the guitar, and all you've got to do then is match the tension of the springs
You need to do a vlog.
to the strings, right?
We need
So
to do a vlog on
it's-
this because that's really interesting.
It's totally possible. The quality of the bridge itself makes a big difference. So the front edge on that underneath where it touches the guitar either needs to be a smooth or it needs to be a really nice straight line. The vintage ones were a really nice straight line-ish. It's totally possible. I have mine set so that it's just off the body of the guitar. So when I bend a big bend, it'll only just detune.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I've got to do that much bend
To detune it.
to detune it. So there's quite a lot of tension on there. The correct way to have a Strat is so that it floats up more. And what will happen then is if you try and do or any of this,
Very nice.
you'll get all kinds of string on string problems because the other strings will detune. So it's definitely possible. Don't block it. There is a future for you and Strat vibratos.
Very good. Can you do a vlog on that, please? Because that's fascinating.
I will. I just can't take all the 9 million
No.
people who know how to do it better
Oh, okay.
going, you've done that wrong.
We'll just do the video and don't read the comments. I'll read it.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's
Right.
totally possible.
Gino Inzerillo
Gino!
says, "Hey lads, as if by serendipity, one mini Deja vibe popped up on my reverb last Monday. It's the first time I've cried using a pedal. Have you guys cried due to gear? Yeah, I've had gear stolen. That made me cry.
Dan does it on the show most weeks.
I
to be
do.
fair.
I do. I get very emotional about the stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
I cry at shows every now and again
Right.
when the sound of the whole thing just takes me, the emotion. In fact, Dan and I went to see Stephen Wilson. I'm not a prog fan, right?
Boy, oh boy.
It's really not my favourite kind of music at all. So I'm sat there watching this going, oh my God, what are we going to get here?
Anyone that has seen Stephen Wilson live, you'll know the song
And he plays Routine.
That's the song.
And we get to the end of the song and like I turn to Dan as if to say,
So the
what just happened?
yeah. So this is the first gig I think we'd been to, after we'd started doing the show. And as you all know by now, I get a bit emotional with these things. And I'm watching Stephen do Routine, and it was just, the sound was epic. It had Dave Kilminster doing his thing. Dave Kilminster and Stephen Wilson's guitars together were just such an unbelievable sound. Anyway, but with all the audio visuals and everything going on with this song, and to get to the end of the song, I could feel myself going. I thought, oh no, I can't help it. I'm going to start blubbing any minute. Mick is going to think I'm an absolute weirdo who's going to want nothing more to do with me. And I started going. I turned around. I could feel my face being wet with tears. It was so emotional. I turned around and Mick was in exactly the same state. And I was just like, I was so relieved.
It was incredible. You know, going from saying I don't like prog very much to going, this isn't prog, it's just music.
Just music.
It's just music.
Beautiful.
Because it didn't. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
We could talk about that all night.
We could.
Benjamin Heller. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you for the suggestions on the OD pedals. Trying to get less fizz and more rounded with the smaller amps. I'll give the Lightspeed and Timmy a try. Assumptions were good too. 10-inch speakers, all blackface amps. Yeah.
I think they'll be really, really great, actually.
Timmy's a good shout. Yeah. The fizz part is interesting because TS10's not really fizzy. King of Tone can be if you've got the presence internally set up a little bit.
Yeah.
But Timmy's great. He's got treble control, so you're all over it.
Dan Poria says, "Hey guys, I'm building a custom distortion pedal. Do you know a professional that would be interested to test it, to give advice or opinions? Thanks." It's tricky.
I would go through your mates
Yeah.
and tell them to be honest with you. That's probably a good place to start.
Yeah.
you know, testing and evaluation of commercial products is a very lucrative world because, you know, there are people who are really good at doing that. I would build it, Dan, and play it and get your friends to play it and stick a few clips out on Instagram and do it that way.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
what everyone does, and it works. Yeah. EJ Smith says, "Hi gents, it's New Gear Day. I've got some Ron Ellis 5060s out for delivery right now. I can't wait. Thanks for always giving me a reason to get cool stuff."
That's cool, EJ. My advice to you is don't listen to them for the first couple of hours.
At
Just
least.
play. Just play, just play, just play, just play, just play. Because they do, or I mean, I don't know if it's just Ron's pickups or all pickups. They just seem to take a little while
Yeah.
to I don't know what it is.
Once they're
To
in
just
there.
kind of do their thing and get pickuping.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to get some voltage to those coils. Need to get the, current going.
Don't plug them in and expect to go, oh my God, my life has changed.
Yeah, because once you've got them in, you've got to set them up for
Yep.
the guitar as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Greg Straub says, "I have a JHS Kilt, a Bluesbreaker BB2, and a Caline clone, and a Donna Rat clone. Suggestions on signal chain order?"
Clon last.
Yep. I would put the Kilt, the Bluesbreaker. I'd probably put the Clon last, Bluesbreaker before that, and then the Kilt, or the Rat. They sit in a similar space, those two, so either or. But I think the Clon is a great shout for a solo boost for those
Yeah.
pedals. That's a really great shout.
Right, guys, don't anyone watching, don't do any more super chats now because we're 4 minutes away from finishing, so we don't want to miss anybody who's super chatted.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who's super chatted. But yeah, quit the super chats. Thank you for everyone who's done that today. We really appreciate it. One that keeps coming back is Ed Brown. Are you guys into the Stone Roses? Cracking band with some great tones and riffs from John Squire. Yeah, I see. Stone Roses, Dan?
So I didn't get into the songs, but when I heard John Squire's guitar sound, it blew my mind.
Same.
And I heard, so I was doing some work for Charlie from
Simple Minds.
Simple Minds,
Charlie
Birchall, who's just the most beautiful human. I love that guy. And anyway, his tech was John Squire's old guitar tech. And I didn't know this. And I was talking to him about John Squire's guitar sound. I said, I'm trying to find someone who knows. He says, "Well, you want to ask me because I was this tech?" And I'm like, "No!" So I started asking him about, how he did what he did. And it was absolutely fascinating.
Well, he was doing wet dry and all that kind of stuff, wasn't
He was doing wet dry.
Yeah.
He had, I was using all boogies and stuff, and but one side going to a really slow speaker simulator, like a Leslie thing, just on. And that was that crazy phase shifting up. That was just beautiful. So it was fascinating. And I asked him, of course, I would love to get John on the show. He's like, "Well, probably not, but anything that you want to know about the gear he used, ask me, and I'll So it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Morally opposed to indie music of the time because I liked proper rock music, which of course was idiotic, young idiot, not being open-minded about stuff. So I couldn't get past Ian Brown.
That was, I think, This.
Because what a fantastic band, what great songs.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the guitar player going, what's he doing playing with them?
Yeah, right.
Which is stupid, idiotic.
I was in a band in Sydney called the Wheelers, and which is where I met my wife. We were playing at the boat shed in Manly Beach, and we used to play loads of ecstasy and crowded house. Anyway, this gorgeous young girl comes up and says, "Yeah, I used to be in a band with a keyboard player from XTC," and that's how we met. And ended up back in Swindon in a band with Dave Gregory. So weird. But anyway, we used to have a lot of English people come to watch the band on a Saturday night. We had a residency. I think we played there every Saturday night for 4 years. And yeah, we had a lot of English tourists who would come and see the band, and we used to get asked all the time for Stone Roses, and I'd never heard of them. And I played a few tunes, and the song sort of passed me by, but yeah, I instantly heard the guitar sounds, went, whoa, that's pretty special. I think there's a waterfall song that I thought was cool. The riff in it, and I thought, yeah, it's great. But I find the vocals a little bit hard to get past.
Well,
But
it
some
was
of
a time and a place, wasn't
Time
it?
and a place, yeah.
Yeah, it was a time and a place. Somebody asked TS9 or Klon for solo boost. Depends on the amp.
Yeah, right.
If you want a bit more bite and massive headroom, Klon. If you want to calm everything down a bit and just focus and punch out the mids, TS9. But problem with the TS9 for me, not enough headroom for a solo boost.
Right.
Not enough clarity. Klon will give you clarity for days.
Was it the TS9 that the heavy guys used into their triple Rex and stuff?
Yeah, because it chopped off a load of bottom end and gave a 700 and whatever it was boost
Yeah.
to all those
742,
mid-scooped
yeah.
amps. I think... yes, I think we're done. I suspect Mick is the only person who thinks Second Coming is better than the first album. I literally have no idea what that means. That might be the Stone Roses, but I've never listened to a Stone Roses album, so I don't know.
Aziz Ibrahim.
Yeah, Aziz Ibrahim.
So he
who was a
played-
great human.
Yeah, and he took...
Sorry, Bev's trying to get Dan to answer a question.
Oh, okay,
He's
sorry.
pasting it.
Right.
Which one? Dan from Alan Angels.
Right.
Alan Angel, Dan's modular tape echo board. He ran one delay into another. That's not the same as having two tape heads, is it?
Okay, so the idea with that...
Should it not be parallel?
So it should be parallel, but the idea with the first delay was just delay, no dry signal, and then that hit the second one as if you had two spaced heads. No, it's not the same. They should have been parallel, but then the heads could have done that in a tape machine. You got two heads, one after the other. So the idea was the second delay could never be shorter than the first delay. And that was the idea with that. And also running a separate parallel signal path in that board. You see how already crammed it was already tricky. So the way that we did it, having the first head, which is just the delay, into the second head, gave you the two separate repeats that you could space. The second repeat could never be shorter than the first repeat, but then you could space those sort of any way you want, just using the time control. So you're absolutely right in the way the heads are just mixed, into
I didn't
a
know
summing
that. I
amplifier.
always assumed they were series, which is why you got the weird.
But so the signal from when it hits the tape hits the first head and then hits the second head. But those heads, the output from those heads are basically summed into a little.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so I mean, technically, yes, you're right. But the way that we did it was just so that we could have. It was about having the two spaced heads that you could change the time, where the second head couldn't be shorter than the first head.
Right.
But we will. I will address that in an upcoming video.
Cool. All right. So sorry for any questions we've missed. It's overwhelming. We try and stay on top of it, and thank you, BV, for doing a good job of
Yep.
trying to make sure people don't get ignored too much. And
Yes.
apologies if you feel you have been. There's 1,000 people on banging questions at us. So
Yeah, and just to say, we appreciate every single one of you who wants to come and hang out with us on a Monday afternoon. It's really great, and I need it. I really look forward to coming and hanging out with everyone on a Monday. Especially now,
yeah,
it's just great. So
It's cool.
thank you all. We really, really appreciate you.
thank you for
choosing
being
to
here.
spend your time with us. It's really great.
This Friday's video will be something. It could be any number of things. We've done some cracking ones just recently. It might be all the guitars in that pedal show studio. It might be that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
and
That was
then-
brilliant.
Next Sunday, please check out the Tone Talk channel on YouTube. where Dan and I will be talking with Dave Friedman and Mark about stuff,
Yeah.
general stuff. 6 p.m. British summertime on the Tone Talk YouTube channel.
I have so many questions for Dave.
Me too.
That's going to be great.
Me too. All right. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Take care of yourselves. Lots of love. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.